Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Our today's topic of discussion is inflammation. Students, this is basic topic regarding pathology. We start with the topic of inflammation. Students, by definition, inflammation is defined as a process of or as a response of living tissue, living cell to the stimulus which causes injury. In very simple words, we can say that inflammation is the response of the living tissue towards the injury which is caused by stimulus. Now students, what could be the stimulus, or we can say that what are the causes of inflammation? Students, causes of inflammation means the factors which act as stimuli to cause injury to the living tissue, and as a result of this stimulus, the living tissue or living cells, they respond. Causes of inflammation: these students, most important, number one, physical agents. Physical agents, we can quote an examples of heat, extremes of temperature, either cold or hot temperature, radiations, any concussion injury. Physical agents. Number two, students, infective agents. Infective agents include, students, bacteria, viruses, fungal, any microorganism causing infection. Infective agents. Number third, chemical agents. Students, chemical agents include toxins produced by the bacteria, different chemicals which may cause injury. Inert agents. Students, inert agents means any foreign body which destroys the living cells may be cause of inflammation. Last word, number 5, immunological factors. Immunological agents. Students, these immunological agents includes cell mediated agents, immune complex deposits. These all 5 examples of causes of inflammation. These are the main factors which act as a stimulus of injury to the living cells. Now students, signs of inflammation. Students, there are 5 cardinal signs of inflammation. 5 cardinal signs. Number 1, redness. Whenever there is tissue injury caused by any stimulus, there is localized redness, and this is called rubor. Redness. Number 2, swelling. The site of injury swells up. Number 3, heat. Temperature of the site of injury is increased. Local temperature is increased. Local warmth. Pain. Pain at the site of injury. And number 5 and the last, loss of function. As a result of redness, swelling and pain, affected tissue, affected cells loses its function. Okay, these are called 5 cardinal signs of inflammation. Number 1, redness. Number 2, swelling. Number 3, raised area, heat, raised temperature at localized area. Number 4, pain. And number 5, loss of function. Okay, students? Now we move on to the types of inflammation. Students, depending upon the time duration and the response of host cells, inflammation can be divided into 2 types: acute inflammation and number 2, chronic inflammation. Students, in very simple words, acute inflammation is that type of inflammation which prolongs, which lasts for a shorter duration of time. The response of the host cells is for a shorter span of time. And chronic inflammation, we will discuss it in the later part of our lecture. Now, acute inflammation. Students, acute inflammation is characterized by the presence of 2 types of cells. Number 1, neutrophils. Number 2, histiocytes. Students, neutrophils are acute inflammatory cells. Okay? Now, stages of acute inflammation. How this acute inflammatory process represents itself. Number 1, vasodilatation. Students, this is the first event which starts in the process of acute inflammation. And vasodilatation, it is carried out by different type of chemical mediators. Most important being histamine. Okay, prostacyclin. Nitric oxide. Students, these are the main chemical mediators which leads to vasodilatation. And these chemical mediators, they are released by the inflammatory cells which are deposited or which gather themselves at the site of tissue injury. Now, as a result of vasodilatation, students, there is increased hydrostatic pressure. Increased hydrostatic pressure means there is increased flow of blood in the blood vessels at the site of injury. Number 2, there is stasis of blood. As a result of vasodilatation, there is stasis of blood. The blood movement becomes slow. Okay? Now, students, as a result of these 2 events in the phase of vasodilatation, that is increased hydrostatic pressure and stasis of blood or slow movement of blood, there is deposition or margination of inflammatory cells at the vessel walls. Okay? Now the second stage of acute inflammation. Increased vascular permeability. Increased vascular permeability. This means, students, the vessel walls become more leaky for inflammatory cells, for WBCs. Now, what are the chemical mediators which are involved in increased vascular permeability? Histamine, bradykinins, leukotrienes, especially leukotriene C4, D4 and E4. Okay, students, increased vascular permeability. Now, students, as a result of increased vascular permeability, there is margination of WBCs at the site of injury. They gather themselves, and this process involves rolling of WBCs at the site of injury, pavementing. WBCs arrange themselves along the endothelial walls at the site of injury, and number third, transmigration. The WBCs, they leak out of the vessel walls at the site of injury and becomes collected in the interstitial space or tissue spaces. Okay, students, these are the events which takes place in the process of acute inflammation. Now, students, what is the end result of acute inflammation? Or we can say, what is the fate of acute inflammation? Number one, resolution. Means either acute inflammation will be completely terminated by the inflammatory cells, and the tissue will go back to its normal state of health. Resolution. Number two, healing. If resolution does not occur, acute inflammation will terminate as a healing process. Students, this healing process, it involves mainly fibrosis. Okay, it involves fibrosis. Number third, ulcer formation. Either if there is no resolution, if there is no healing and the acute inflammation continues, there is ulcer formation at the site of injury. Means injury is going on. The surface epithelium is destroyed. Tissues, underlying cells and tissues are being necrosed. Number four, fistula formation. Students, if the process of acute inflammation continues and we suppose there is no resolution, there is no healing, there is no ulcer formation, acute inflammation may lead to fistula formation. What is fistula, students? Fistula is an abnormal tract between an organ and the external environment, or it may be abnormal track, abnormal passage between the two organs, between the two cavities. Fistula. Number 5, suppuration. Suppuration. Students, in this process, the neutrophils, they leads to pus formation. There is necrosis, there is suppuration. Okay? Suppuration. In suppuration, there is pus collection at the site of inflammation. There is collection of pus at the site of injury. There is necrosis at the site of injury. Okay? We have discussed these 5 processes. Number 6. Scar formation. Scar formation. Students, acute inflammation may end up in scar formation. Scar develops at the site of injury. This scar is mainly composed of connective tissues. Okay? Connective tissue cells. Number 7 and the last, chronic inflammation. Students, if acute inflammation continues, the tissue injury caused by stimulus continues, and there is neither of the 5 processes, neither there is healing, neither there is scar formation, neither there is connective tissue collection, neither there is ulcer or fistula formation, acute inflammation may end up in the form of chronic inflammation. Okay? Now, what is chronic inflammation? We discuss it here. Now, students, what is chronic inflammation? Students, chronic inflammation is defined as prolonged inflammation. Prolonged inflammation, which consists of active inflammation, okay, tissue destruction, and repair. They all occurring simultaneously. In other words, we can brief chronic inflammation as a process in which acute inflammation continues, and there is side by side process of tissue destruction as well as repair. So we can say that chronic inflammation is a combination of 3 processes: active inflammation, which is continued acute inflammation; number 2, ongoing tissue destruction; and number 3, process of repair or wound healing. These are the main events in chronic inflammation. Now, students, the main chronic inflammatory cells are lymphocytes, and macrophages. Okay, these two types of cells, they are hallmark of chronic inflammation. Now students, what are the signs and symptoms of chronic inflammation? Signs and symptoms. Number 1, fever. Number 2, leukocytosis. Number 3, raised ESR. Okay, these are the 3 main clinical signs and symptoms of chronic inflammation: fever, leukocytosis and ESR. Now students, there are different varieties of chronic inflammation. Chronic non-specific inflammation. Chronic non-specific inflammation. Chronic granulomatous inflammation. Okay, these are the 2 main types of chronic inflammation. Now, what are the details of these 2 specific types of chronic inflammation? We will discuss it in our subsequent lecture on chronic inflammation. Thank you students. Allah Hafiz.